Good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. It's an exciting day. I like today's topic about finding buyers. It's always a challenge I hear people talk about, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I wanted to start off with just a quick tip for those of you showing up early and on time. I really appreciate that you do. Let me turn these captions off really quick. I appreciate that you show up early and on time. First off, it's just a good thank you to have people showing up and in the seats on time. You know, you walking in the room while I'm doing this training, it's so distracting. The other thing is when LinkedIn sees you here, it sends a reminder out to more people and says, hey, don't forget, you signed up. And we have, I think, almost 100 people registered to attend these trainings. And so thank you for that. And so my tip for you is to remember the value of connecting with people and looking at the long-term relationship, in particular, like people you find in the chat in today's training. This is your community as you move forward. I just had a meeting that I put together. I introduced two companies, two small businesses that are both individually doing fairly well. And I put them together because they had complementary services and offerings that they could sell to the buyer. And when they came together, just on like a 30-minute meeting to see if it was a fit, you could see them begin to brainstorm and collaborate around, oh, we could do this, we could do that. But they saw the value of the two of them working together to go after even more contracts. So not just teaming about a particular opportunity, but really looking at a strategic relationship and say, hey, if we commit to mutual growth, can we really help each other go to the next level? And so it's super fun for me to be able to do that. And my tip for you is to make sure that you're finding companies like that, especially if you're in that space where you're like 5 million or more and you're feeling like you got traction. Don't forget the value of strategic relationships. That's more than just teaming. Okay, let me dive into today's training. Just got get my ducks in a row here. Okay, let's get started with training. I had a call this morning earlier with somebody other than the person I was just talking about. I had a call this morning with an 8A firm they were just talking about how they struggle to find people, federal buyers to call. So it's really ironic for today's training, right? And they were saying that's their biggest challenge. When they get in, they feel like they can talk to the customer about their products and services and engage the buyer. But finding those right buyers, and when I say finding buyers, I literally mean finding the names, numbers, and emails for the people to reach out to. And that was echoed by a call I had with a customer last week in our workshop. We were doing a kickoff meeting, and kickoff meetings for us is about an hour. And at the end, I was like, hey, any last questions or anything that's like really concerning you that you want us to pay attention to as we go through the workshop? And one person, there's like 7, 8 people in the meeting. And one of the people said, you know, our biggest concern, my biggest concern as we move forward is I know that I'm supposed to be reaching out and talking to the federal buyer and building relationships, et cetera. I just really struggle with finding those people, finding the names, numbers, et cetera. And like I said, this is the most common struggle. It's a struggle my customers face, and it's what we help them do in the workshop. But today's training, I'm teaching you exactly what I do for them, not something of what I'm doing. I'm not holding anything back. I'm going to give you the information that you need to start finding federal buyers out there. And when you start following the process that I teach, you're going to start having success of finding these buyers and then getting in and then having meetings that lead to opportunities, et cetera. And we'll talk more about that. But that's my goal today is to help you find federal agency buyers. In today's training, I'm going to cover down on 3 main points. First is the roles. I really want you to understand the roles federal buyers, people, could fall into. And I group it into 3 groups. Second thing we're going to talk about are the steps, the actual steps I take to find buyers. Literally walking in, I'll try to speed it up so you don't see too many of my mistakes. But just like you, when I go out to find buyers, I hit roadblocks. I got to back up and go forward. Think about finding federal buyers as a maze, and there's all these walls, et cetera, and there's an entrance and an exit. And every time you go through the maze and exit, you found another buyer. Well, when you go through a maze, unless you're looking on top, right, you're going to bang into dead-end walls. That's totally normal. And so I want to talk to you about some of the steps that I take that help me find buyers. And the more of these steps you begin to remember and get used to, the less times you bang into a wall when you're looking for new buyers. And then the third thing I'm going to cover down on is how not to do this alone. I want you to realize there's people out there who can help you find federal buyers, maybe even help you get introduced to those buyers. And so I'll talk about those. I put this note down here just at the start, because I just wanted to remember to say it to you. So I just wrote the whole thing there, right? The good old boy network is just a bunch of people who keep information to themselves. And I hate it, right? I hate the very idea of it. Even when I was in government contracting, not even the last one, but the first one, when I literally came out of one of the biggest good old boy networks, the Army, and I started my government contracting, you try to go back in and it's kind of this closed door. And I really believe that anybody who calls information and tips like the ones I'm sharing today, if they call them secrets, right? These are secrets, et cetera. I feel like they're just used to keeping secrets. They're used to not being a giver. I don't have secrets, right? I teach my 10-year-olds, don't have a secret. If you have a secret, something's off there, right? Be a giver, especially in the professional world, especially in government contracting. If you know somebody and you know something about an agency and you can share it. I often listen to people kind of encourage others to keep information close hold. It's like, no, be a giver. Give freely, and I guarantee you it'll come back, because givers gain. It's a BNI network group. That's their motto. I think it's givers gain, but it is such a good motto. If you just give, it'll come back, guaranteed. All right, if you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When you follow a process A to Z, you're going to have repeatable, predictable results. I'm going to give you some of that process today as it relates to finding federal buyers. And when you follow the tips I give you, you're going to have repeatable, predictable results in finding buyers. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter already, go ahead and subscribe to it. It's Government Contracting Success. We put a lot of good information out there. We have a newsletter that's a weekly digest. I'll put out separate newsletters that are pure tips about certain activity, like long-range acquisition forecast, small business liaison, 7 steps to do this, 10 steps to do that. But all of it is government contracting related. So if you want to stay in touch, if you want to get more good information around government contracting, just subscribe to our newsletter. The other thing is, I want to thank you for registering for training. Like I said, almost 100 people registered for today's training. Every time somebody registers for training, the first thing I think of is it's a thank you. So I really appreciate it. My team appreciates it, because we can see who's interested in the training. We can see the training topics we're picking have value to you because you registered for it. So thank you for that quick thank you. The other thing is, when LinkedIn sees people registering, it puts the word out, and it lets other people that I don't know and perhaps don't even know of me, they let them know about this training. And so I appreciate you registering for training. And remember, when you come, don't come alone. Bring a friend. Every time you bring a friend, it's so much more fun. All right, let's dive in. I got 22 minutes. And the roles of federal buyers is where I want to start. I talk at a very fast pace. You can have the replay and you can slow it back to half speed. But the goal is to try to get a lot of information into 30 minutes and give you tactical tips. But the first thing is, whenever I think about federal buyers, and in sales, this is how we look at our customer. So federal buyers are our customer, right? Or our target customers. They fall into one of 3 categories. And the first one is focus of receptivity. The second one is focuses of dissatisfaction. And the third one are focuses of power. And so I'll walk through each one of those 3. The focuses of receptivity, these are the great ones to get in the door and start getting to learn about an agency, right? When you're just starting to get into an agency or just starting to get into a program office, et cetera, focuses of receptivity are where you want to go. I think I saw David Waltz in here in today's training. He is a focus of receptivity, right? He has no particular need himself. He's serving the need of the Navy customer that he supports. And he's willing to talk with you and to teach you about his agency, to see if there's a match between what you sell and what they need. And so they have no particular need themselves, but they're willing to talk about their agency. They're willing to share, publicly available information and to not keep that to themselves. The next thing is that they're willing to make introductions. And this is really important. And in fact, I think I did not put willing here on purpose. I put they make introductions, because it's really important when you're building relationships with people that they prove out what they say they're going to do. So for example, I don't need them to be willing to make introductions. I need them to make introductions. And so a good focus of receptivity will go, oh, let me introduce you. Right. And so if you have a good focus of receptivity who's in there, they got no problem trying to find a name and a number, maybe let you reach out and use their name, or to reach out and make that introduction themselves with an email introduction, et cetera. One thing to keep in mind when you're working with these people is we don't want to abuse their willingness to help us, right? And so we need to be ready. If you're just brand new to government contracting, don't reach out to a focused receptivity in the Navy and expect them to introduce you to the CIO or somebody, right? That doesn't make sense and it makes them look bad. But you can use them to figure out, well, what would it take for me to get to the CIO? And they would say, do this, 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 and I'm still not going to do it. I'll introduce you to like a direct report. Focus and receptivity are the people who are going to help you with business development in particular. This idea of understanding an agency and beginning to build more relationships beyond that person, and then potentially hearing about opportunities. So that's the first group of people, and they're some of the best ones to have as you really grow into an agency, right? You're not just driving by and then go into the next agency. But if you really care about a particular agency, you're going in, you want to find these receptive people who help you learn and to grow. Number two is the focuses of dissatisfaction. So these are the people with the problem is what we usually say, right? And the way I put it here is focuses of dissatisfaction. They're the program office. They're the ones executing the mission, right? There's all these other people, but let's just simplify it by saying this is basically the program office, the buyer of what you're selling. And we'll go to the focus of power in a second. But basically, these are the ones who need what you sell, right? So they execute the mission and they have a responsibility making sure that gets done. I always tell people that you don't sell lawn care, you don't sell IT services, et cetera. You sell the ability for the Navy to execute its mission. Whatever you're doing, it's contributing to them being able to do the mission. Otherwise, why would they buy it, right? And so you're being part of that solution or that, helping deliver on the mission with the people who are focused on it. The other way you can tell focuses dissatisfaction is they're the ones with the problem. When you do sales, you're generally going in trying to ask problem questions and implication questions. So implication questions are digging into those problems. Tell me why those problems are a big deal. These are the very people who you're going to talk to. When you're writing a proposal, these are the people who want to see you getting them and understanding them. And so when you're in there talking to an agency and you're trying to meet federal buyers, part of the big reason you want to meet them and have conversations with them is so that you can understand their problems, their challenges, their pain points. You want to dig into those problems more. And so these are the people who have those problems. And sometimes, just so you know, the implication when I talk about this is imagine a IT shop. The IT shop's job is to make sure email is running. If their email is not down or it's not that reliable or something, you can come in and solve that problem. But the implication of that problem is that everybody else in their department, the entire organization, you're talking about 100,000 plus people or something, all of these people are having challenges executing their job and the mission, right? Because of this problem. That's the implication idea. And so you want to find focuses of dissatisfaction, not to hear about an opportunity, but to discuss their problems and then counter to that, discuss their goals. What goals and objectives do you have? An example sticking with that is this ability to maybe use emerging technologies as we go forward. We know emerging technologies are coming in. I'm an IT shop. How can I begin to implement that into my organization, right? So focuses of dissatisfaction are the ones with the problems and the goals. And then focuses of power in the government, basically it's the contracting shop. These are the people who shape the acquisition approach, right? This is why they're powerful. They decide whether it goes small business or not. They're the ones who decide whether it's set aside to woman-owned small business or not, or whether it goes to this vehicle or not. Yes, there's more people, but basically it's the contracting shop and more importantly, the contract officer, right? That's the focus of power. And I say they got the money because it goes together with they award the contract. Budgeting is done in an interesting way within the federal government, but basically the money comes over into their hands and they decide whether to give it to you or not. And that's what makes them the power, right? They don't have the need. They don't care about the need. They care about making sure that the focus of dissatisfaction gets their requirements taken care of. But these people, it's about the money and the contract. That's what puts them in the power position. So when you're looking to find federal buyers, make sure you understand which type of buyer are you trying to find. You want to search for these type of people differently. Quick example is focuses of power. You can find a whole bunch of them in FPDS. They're listed right there, or in SAM, you can find them. They're listed there, many of them, right? That's where you can find them. Focuses of receptivity, you can find them at conferences and events. That's a great place to find them because they're in there, they're talkative maybe, they're small business professionals, those kind of people. And then focuses of dissatisfaction, this is the program office. These people are a little bit more elusive, but I'll show you some examples of how you can find them. let's talk about the steps I take. And before I go too far into the steps, I just want to make sure that if you haven't seen this before, I show you the 7-step process for federal revenue success that I teach. There's 7 steps, and it begins with research, understanding your target agency. Once you've got that, then you sit there and go into targeting. And this is really what today's training is about, finding the right people. How do I find federal buyers? That's targeting. When you find the right people, then you're doing cold calls, these outreaches, these first emails, first phone calls, etc. And you're reaching out. And the point of it is to find people who would be good relationships for you going forward in a particular agency. When you find those relationships and you develop and maintain those relationships, they're going to lead to you hearing about opportunities, right? Of course, you can hear about opportunities and tools, but the best way to hear about opportunities is from the focus of dissatisfaction and then from other people. So you hear about opportunities, which then allows you to write winning proposals, and you start getting sales, right? You're awarded contracts. So that's the 7-step process. And I just wanted to point it out because targeting is what we're talking about today. You can't build relationships unless you begin to find the right people to call. So I'm going to use this slide, and then I'm going to go over into my browser and show you a couple of ways to do it in there. But the first thing I do when I'm looking into an agency, right, and you can go in any different order. I'm just giving you a particular order that I follow if I went to do it right this second. First thing I like to do is find an org chart. So if I'm going into NOAA, which I might show you in a second, if I go into NOAA, which is under the Department of Commerce, I could go into NOAA, and I'm looking for an org chart to see what are the offices within NOAA. You have a Department of Commerce, that's a department level, and underneath that is an agency called NOAA, and underneath that are these main program offices with pretty interesting missions. And so I want to look at that and understand the structure and decide, well, which office am I trying to get into? All of them or some of them? Once I've got that, then I go into each one of those, as I'm looking at the org chart, I'm going into each one of those program office websites. They each got some website. And if I'm lucky, I can begin to find information that they share. Here's a fact sheet. Here's some news celebrating our team won. And then there's a picture. And underneath the picture are 5 people's names from that team, right? There's ways to get this information that's out there. You just explore and be willing to read what's on their website. They're basically telling you how to reach them. You just have to take the time to go through their information. On their websites also, you'll find a lot of different documents. You might find previous PowerPoint or PDFs, these decks of events that they did. For example, the Navy recently did an event. They got a lot of slides out there, like 100 plus slides. And when you dig through, you can find a lot of people's names. You can find program executive officer names or deputy program office or people on different teams and products. So you can dig into that by getting onto the website, finding some of that documentation. Number 3 is, and this is a favorite one of mine, this is a secret that should not be a secret. It shouldn't be a secret to you any longer. Go look for staff directories. Some agencies put it out. It's amazing to me that some of them actually restrict it. So, like in the certain agencies, they'll take their small business professionals and not give their phone number and email. That's a restriction. That is the very definition of the agency trying to make it harder for small businesses to do business instead of the opposite. Some agencies, like I'll show you in a second, state, NIH, they'll give you the entire employee directory. How cool is that for moving forward? By the way, public service announcement, don't spam. Spamming does 2 things. One is it does something wrong, don't do it. Second is it just makes you look bad. If you don't know why it makes you look bad, go to Google and type in, why is spamming bad? If you don't know that, go look, but don't spam. Use this strategically. You want to find one person, one email, one phone number, do something with it. Number 4, you look on LinkedIn. I'll show you this in a second, but on LinkedIn, many federal buying offices, program offices, et cetera, are on LinkedIn where people are connected to that program office. And so you can see 100 people, 400 people, 4,000 people who are working in that agency or that program office. And I'll try to show you that really quick. And then the last one I have here is you can use the GovCon Chamber's small business directory. You can find this on our website. In fact, I'll start there and go backwards. You find it right here on our website directories. So just go here, download it. It's a free directory. And when you download it, it'll have over 1,000 small business professionals in there. When you talk about focuses of receptivity, these are the people who are receptive to your call. As long as you're prepared to talk to them, they're going to talk to you all day long, trying to figure out whether you're a good fit to their internal buyers' needs. They want to help you get to those buyers. They want to help their internal users. They're just looking for the prepared folks. So I'm going to skip 1 and 2. You can hopefully go in and dig on it your own, but I want to look at 3 and 4 and show you like staff directories. And so if I just come over here to Google and I type in, let's just say State Department directory. Let's just start there. So there you go, telephone directory. That was convenient. So it'll take a second for it to come up. And when it does, literally, I'm looking at a telephone directory for the State Department. If I come down to the bottom, so I can look at field offices if I'm in certain places. State is all around the country, the world. So if I look at country offices, I can dig into that and go, oh, I'm trying to do stuff in, Ukraine or Kuwait or wherever, right? I can look in and find POCs. You can find people at different levels, but if I come here to organizational directory, I got 77 pages of people's offices, chief data and AI officer right here. Matt like luck of the draw that I grabbed this person. But here's Matthew Gravis, right? It's a person and a phone number. I just got the information. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because what I was trying to point out, let me come back here, is that all I did is went into Google and I said, show me a directory, and they have it, right? The problem with this kind of information is there's a few of us who know about it and the rest of us don't. Let's you and me change that. I'll tell you and you tell 100 friends, all right? Let's make sure people know about it. Let me show you another one. Just changing state to NIH. If you don't know NIH, NIH is National Institutes of Health. It's under HHS, huge and very small business friendly. If I click on that, I come in here and I look and I'm like, oh, I can't do anything. What do I do about this? And but I don't have any names. Well, that kind of is unfortunate. But I can come in here and go to Google, and I know that I'm looking for National Institute of Cancer. Hopefully I typed that right. So if I look at National Institute of Cancer and I just click on that, imagine this is an office I'm trying to get into in NIH, and my internet takes me a second for it to load the page. Come on, I'm live here. Let's go, page load. There it is. So it comes up, right? I can come in here and maybe look at personnel. So here's leadership if I'm trying to get in there, or I can go into the organization. So this is a lot of leadership, but let me come down to something like, well, here, this one's fun. So this one is, let's see if this were, oh no, it's Chief Information Officer. So there's Schilling, right? And if I come back here, and hopefully this is live, so hopefully this works. Schilling, if I type Schilling in, now, what was the guy's name? Jeff Schilling. So first off, see how it says Jeffrey? I instantly know that he goes by Jeff Schilling, not Jeffrey. And so when I send him an email, I'm going to label it, hey, Jeff, or hi, Jeff, or dear Jeff, or whatever, right? Not Jeffrey. And it instantly changes me in his mind subliminally. You know what it's like. If you go by a nickname and somebody emails you your full name, it's off. But look at this. I got his email. I got his phone number. These are just 2 places I looked really quick to show you, and they're showing up. So let me show you the last one. Let me close these and just go into LinkedIn really quick. So if I come into LinkedIn and I'm looking for people, hey, there's Mac from Voltron. If I'm looking for, let's say PEO digital, I can't see with my mouse, digital. If I search for PEO digital, it's in the Navy, it's under Nav War, quasi. Right here, I come down. So LinkedIn is another way for me to begin to find people. This is a program executive office within the Navy. And when you click on it, you'll see that like only 57 people come up because a lot of people who support it have themselves listed as working for the Navy or Nav War or whatever. But right here, I can start coming in. If I want to get into PEO digital, I've got 57 people here that allows me to get started, right? And so I'm showing you these kind of quick ways of how do you find buyers? It's on their website. Look at their org chart. Begin to look at their leadership and the way they list people down. Look for a staff directory or LinkedIn. There's ways to find this information, but sometimes we still struggle. So let me just give you an idea of who can help you meet federal buyers and who can help you even get the name of federal buyers, right? The first one is people in this training. There are so many people in this training, and I know LinkedIn's a little off, but usually we have 100+ people live. And so in this training is a great place to meet people. You should have already, or you should consider putting your company name and your target agency into the chat, letting people know, hey, we're in HHS, we're looking to get into commerce or something. When you share that kind of information, somebody else is able to see it. And if you are able to come back and go, oh, look at that. Nina's in commerce. Let me call her, or LaShawn, right? I'm able to see it and reach out to them. And so look at the people in this training. Then look at your own network. If you're not growing your network, do that. I give you many, many different opportunities. I often put out a notice saying, hey, who wants to connect with 100 people today? And when I say that, I get a lot of people telling me in the comments, I do, I'm open to connections, but they don't connect with anybody. Make sure you follow up with anybody who's in my world as an easy way to connect with them. Hey, I saw you in Neil's post. Love to connect. And most people go, sure, let's do it. Well, now you've met somebody. And if you've done your research and you happen to know that they're in the agency you want to get into, they might be able to introduce you. 3 and 4, my fingers don't work. 3 and 4 about going to the target agency. Say I want to get into National Cancer Institute. I would go into USA Spending or FPDS and find the contractors, large and small prime contractors, the winners, find their company name. I chase them down in DSBS, and not largest, but I chase them down and try to reach out to those people and say, hey, I'm trying to get into the agency. Would you mind introducing me to somebody? Or you build the relationship slowly and then ask for the introduction. The number 5 is contract vehicle holders. And I think I might have took this away. Let me see if I left it open. No, I got rid of it. Let me try reopen a closed tab. No, I think I might have done it too far. Let me try one more because come on. No, I'm trying one more time. No, it didn't work. So anyway, so in here though, what I was showing before is that you can have contract vehicles. So in a particular agency like NOAA, I can go into NOAA and see they have these unique contract vehicles. And from those, I can find federal buyers who are responsible, like 5 or 10 people. And then I can find a lot of contractor holders who are on there. So other small businesses and largest. And then I can reach out to them because they all have names, numbers, and emails. So think about the agency you're trying to get into and maybe come in through a contract vehicle by going in there, especially an agency specific vehicle. It really helps. Number 6 is PTACs. I know they're called something else now, but I like PTAC. Procurement Technical Assistant, right? They're really cool. But those people are awesome, right? They've got a lot of local relationships in particular. So I started the GovCon Chamber in Oklahoma, and the Oklahoma PTAC folks out there are awesome, and they're connected to Tinker Air Force Base. They have that relationship. If you build your relationship with the counselors, then they can make introductions, right? They can tell you about buyers and just send you on your way, or they can make introductions. They work with them. Like Lee Christensen literally was able to introduce me to general officers down in Huntsville, Alabama, when I used to interact with her, if I reach out, right? And she was in charge of supporting multiple organizations, including Catalyst Center and Women Business Center. And the idea is you can find these people. They want to help. Just reach out to them. And the last group are the Small Business Administration's district office. Every one of us is in a Small Business Administration SBA district office. And they have 2 people that you definitely want to reach out to. I would try to reach out to all of them. But the business opportunity specialists, in particular, if you're an 8A firm, don't just report to them from a compliance standpoint. Talk to them once a month, 5 minutes. Hey, I'm just touching base. Or if you have a need, reach out and say, do you happen to know anybody? So build that relationship beyond just a compliance check. And then the other one is the procurement center representatives. These people interact with small business specialists from the agencies they're responsible for. So they have a phone list they'll hand you sometimes. They also interact with most of the contracting officers that they fall under or that fall under their oversight, right? And so reach out to the SBA district office. Just pushing through time because we end at 12:30. Here's what I want you to remember. The first thing is every buyer fills a different role, right? So when you approach FRs, FDs, and FPs, remember that what they care about is different, so approach them differently. Second thing I want you to remember is that federal buyer information is gold. You're looking for gold when you're trying to find this information. You got to remove the dirt in that gold mine in order to find the buyers. And the last thing is do go alone. It should say don't go alone, right? Dig your well before you're thirsty by building the relationships with those people on the last slide that I said can help you. Don't do this alone. Reach out, ask for help. Hey, can you introduce me to somebody? For all of us, as you move forward, driving to find federal buyers, just remember government contracting and finding buyers, It's not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.